I did a terrible job advertising this week. So let me get out into the internet interwebs and start telling people that, hey, we're live and we're doing things because, Cliff was overwhelmed this week. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing great. I've had a rough week too, in the sense that we was busy, crazy, and stuff like that. And I'm glad the weekend is here.
Yes.
But I was looking forward to doing this all week. So especially after watching you with Lady Fantastic last week.
Yay! That was a really great show.
Yes.
And I'm super happy to be doing this. This is part of my getaway from the world situation. Woo! Alrighty. So all right, let's. Ooh, interesting. Sorry that I'm typing, and this is terrible. And we've got obstructions. Yeah, this is really entertaining, folks. It's really great. So, Matt, why don't you tell us about your very first major comic book purchase?
Oh, well, my first major comic book purchase, define major.
It was like over $100, and you were like, yeah, it's happening.
Well, I collected a lot as a kid, and then I got rid of my comics in my early 20s, like most people did. And then in my 40s, I started collecting again. And my first major purchase when I started collecting again was the first appearance of Power Girl.
Oh, I have her on my wall.
Yes.
I love that.
All-Star Comics 58.
That's
Supergirl and Power Girl. Well, Power Girl is to a smaller extent, but Supergirl and Buffy are my number one characters. And when I first got back into comics, it was actually to collect the Buffy comics.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I was like, well, some of those Buffy comics haven't necessarily aged well, unfortunately.
No, they haven't. But you know what? It's still fun to read them once in a while, just like it's fun to watch the show.
Exactly. And I was going to say, just because one person's bad hand in things doesn't mean it ruins the entire experience.
That's right.
So,
fact is, we liked it before. Nothing's changed. That's been recorded. Therefore,
yes. Although there are some times where you watch stuff and go, oh, well, this is a little cringy, and now it's more cringy than I know things from behind.
Yeah, I will admit there's been stuff like that. But then I've also had the pleasure of, for example, I met James Marsters at the Ottawa Comic Con a couple of years back, and sitting there and saying, you've had one of the most successful careers I know because you got paid to kiss Sarah Michelle Gellar. And right away he goes into, well, her lips were soft, and he gets into this whole spiel, and I'm like, you son of a bitch.
He's a very nice guy, though.
He's a very, very fun guy to talk to.
Yeah,
we had a good 5-minute conversation.
Look at this. Good morning, Bleecker. MJ, thank you. Yeah. My favorite part is watching Cliff do computer. Oh, no, that's terrible. All right. Good morning, everyone. All right. Yes, I met him a few times. I've met him since the early 2000s, going to Pennsylvania, Wizard World, Philly. Really great guy. Good morning, Flash Fighter. Hello. All right, so Matt, so that was your major comic book purchase, which I can appreciate because I hunted.
That one I actually negotiated too. They had it at $1.6. All prices I'm going to use are Canadian dollars unless I specify. They had it listed at $165, and I managed to get them down to $135.
So mine is a restored 5.0, and they were at $70, and I got them down to $51.
Nice.
And I was just like, oh my God. And it was one of those things where I've always wanted it. I love the Superman family, love Power Girl. Yeah, but it's really funny. I talk about how much I love Superman, and as I look at my wall, there's so much Marvel happening. And then, I gotta dodge to be like, there's Superboy and John Kent. Don't forget the Superman family. And I'm like, they're there too. But also, I'm very sentimental. So, this stuff changes behind me.
Well, that's just it. When I was a kid, Supergirl was probably I remember I'm 5 years old when I started reading comics. because my dad had my uncle's collection of Silver Age. And I just remember reading Supergirl and asking my mom if she could come babysit.
Oh, wow.
Which just shows you the age I was, but also the fact that I just thought she was cool right off the bat.
Yeah. From a young age, my parents were very worried. There were multiple conversations to make sure that I didn't think Superman was real, and that I didn't think I could put on a cape and fly.
Well, I did know that part.
Immediate, but it was really funny, right? I very much understand as I got older, right? But when I was little, it really scared me. And one time, and this is terrible, I was a kid, I just wasn't paying attention, right? And, at the time we had on the street parking. So we had to park across the street, and we're going to carry groceries and head to the house, right? And I just wasn't paying attention. And this woman stopped her car, and we all were scared and panicked, and we went in the house. And of course, the first thing that my brother said was "Oh, he just thinks he just thinks he's Superman, or he's invulnerable." And I'm genuinely scared by what happened, and I'm I really didn't see it, because I was just not paying attention. And of course, I'm the kind of person where trauma informs my entire life. So now I every turn I ever make, every crosswalk I'm ever at, I'm that crosswalk in Japan that's notorious, that you got, the minute you got to move so that everything flows properly. That gives me sweats.
Yeah, it's definitely a different culture shock there. But no, with me, I never really thought that Superman was real. It's just, I was 5 years old and thought she was cool. And that's what my dad said, none of this stuff is real. I'm I know, but still, it would be nice, Yeah. Actually, my dad, the first movie my dad ever took me to, where it was just him and me, was Superman the movie in the theater back in 78.
See, and I was just born, so I saw it on CBS at the age of 2. And it was in the 2-parter format, right? So I caught Superman flying up to save Lois, and that was my introduction to Superman, was those moments.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So James was added to my hilarious comment, ruining it because I'm late.
I remember as I was a kid that blowing up of Krypton.
So yes, the blowing up of Krypton.
Blowing up of Krypton was very, very big for me. It was wow, this is real. And seeing the baby in the thing, and I'm oh my God, this is so cool. That's all I could think of. It's never mind that all these people were dying. It's it's happening on screen. It's
yeah. Do you know what's funny? The death of Krypton didn't bother me. Do you know what bothered me at such a young age? The death of Lois.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I'm crying in the living room, oh no, what's happening?
And my dad says, I don't remember doing this, but my dad said when he went and turned the earth around, I said, well, that's crap.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
Apparently I said that. I don't remember saying it, but my dad swears by it. And I mean, I could see why, face it, okay. It's an interesting way of showing going back in time when you're considering in the comic books, you see, for example, there's this this tube with years on it and that he's flying through. And so him actually turning the earth backwards as a flying through time thing was an interesting effect. But at the same time, they did that too. It's a good thing that Superman 2 in the original cut didn't have that again, because that was a plot device that should have only been used once.
Yeah. I always, in my mind, even at a young age, I simply processed it as Superman going back through time. You know, not about Superman reversing the Earth's axis, as other people would point out time and time again. The presentation of Superman is so epic. The kid reading in the beginning and the curtains opening is a chef's kiss. It is. It is. The original ending. The original ending was supposed to be the missile going into space, hitting the Phantom Zone, releasing Zod, all of them flying towards the screen saying, "We're free!" And then it turned into a comic book, and the kid closing the issue and the curtains closing.
That would have been cool.
That would have been amazing. That was to usher in That was the idea, to usher in Superman 2. But again, they were filming Superman the movie and Superman 2 at the same time. The budget constraints were wild.
Yeah, and also the fact that Richard Donner was fired after, before he had finished most of Superman 2. So that Richard
right. And they had Tom, whatever his face was, come in and reshoot 70% of the movie. They couldn't use Gene Hackman. They had a Gene Hackman voiceover guy come in voiceover parts for Gene Hackman because they couldn't have Gene Hackman there. I mean, such a hot, crazy, love it.
Mm-hmm. And although I was in Niagara Falls last summer and I got my wife to take a picture of me standing there like Superman at the exact same spot, because you can tell by the fall shot at the exact same spot where the kid was going like this and fell over the side. So,
when I was little, I was like petrified for that scene too. And my mom was petrified. She's like, "You will never do anything like that." And I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, my love of Superman is like complicated by all these "don't get yourself killed" moments in my life.
Yeah, I will admit, Superman is probably 40% of my collection between Superman, Action Comics, Supergirl, Superboy, and the Legion, because I consider the Legion part of the Superman family. Like,
absolutely,
everything's probably 40% of my current collection. I certainly know that my Action Comics take up seven short boxes. I have the entire run from 335 on. So,
yeah, I have Action. I think I have Action 300 to 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got to get 3 more, and then I'll have to 300.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a fun question: what comic book crossover event would you like to see happen in the future?
Oh, in the future. Oh, well.
I really hope Marvel and or DC come up with X.
I would like to see. That's a good question. I would like to see, because they take place in the 31st century, I would like to see a Legion Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a good Marvel DC crossover.
Because, well, for one thing, it's never been done. 2, they could really go to town with the technology and the different stuff. Like, they really make it
Can you just imagine Dream Girl and Starhawk?
Yes, I can.
That would just be so great. It's like our death is imminent in 4 hours. Trust me, she is correct, for I am the one who knows.
Well, you can tell us if it's going to happen or not, right? So
yeah, but no, it would be so great, because those are 2 characters where it's like, yep, our death is imminent in 4 hours, and we got to figure it out because our universes are collapsing again, or whatever the case may be.
That would be interesting. But if we're going to go modern day, I would like to see well, I guess who's really the best detective in Marvel Comics? I guess Reed Richards would be, eh? Reed Richards would be considered.
I don't think he's the best detective,
because they don't really have any detective-like characters in the Marvel.
Misty and what's her name are detectives.
Okay. Well, it would be interesting to have a good old Detective Comics type thing with the Batman and something like that, or an elongated man, because he was a detective too. Trying to figure something out, because those are the kinds of stories I like. I like the mysteries as well as the sci-fi punch.
Oh, do you know who's the best detective in Marvel?
Who would that
be? Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. You know what? Jessica Jones and Batman would be awesome together, because Jessica is not exactly. I mean, both of them flirt with the law, right? And
and both of them don't like team ups.
Yeah. So it would be interesting.
I think it would be, especially she's, because like, of course, she's like grapey,
Mm-hmm. And I mean, everybody will say, well, Batman's overdone. Batman's overdone on team ups, because he's always like Batman Spawn, Batman this, Batman that. And that's fine. But the thing is, the character leads itself to so many stuff like that. Because he's human, but he's an elite human. He's so versatile as a result.
Yeah. So you're telling me you didn't enjoy Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 1, Part 2,
I haven't
Batman
read it yet.
Shadow Part 1, Part 2?
No, I haven't read those yet.
No, I'm being funny. I'm being funny because
Yeah,
it's right. It's the over proliferation of the Batman.
Yeah.
Although he's absolutely had some great team ups.
But to be fair, they did that with Superman in the 70s when Superman was the top guy.
I mean, I guess, but Superman had DC Comics Presents and Batman had Brave and the Bold.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, like, I mean, like the Superman versus Muhammad Ali, Superman and Spider-Man, Superman, and they did a lot of crossovers with Superman in the 70s because he was the big guy.
I guess, but like I feel like Batman was right there, you know? Like Superman and Spider-Man, Batman and the Incredible Hulk, Superman and Wonder Woman, Superman and Spider-Man again because we couldn't get enough the first time.
True. Or what was it? New Teen Titans and X-Men and JLA Avengers.
Oh my God, New Teen Titans X-Men, that was the bomb. Yeah, those were the 2 best-selling books on the market. And now in 2024, it is abysmal. Like go get some fiery fucking talent and go set a freaking standard. I love Tom Taylor, and there are many things Tom Taylor does that I enjoy immensely. But what he has done with the Titans is absolutely not one of them.
No, the book is dying.
Yeah, they need to
it started out with promise, especially like Titans are going to be the new big team, right? But the problem I find is like Nightwing is always good, Wonder Girl is always good, Changeling is interesting, but there may with the event that began with him being the Beast and all that stuff, you know, they took away a lot of his self-confidence with that, and that character needs the inflated self-confidence. So,
well, you know, I can handle if he's struggling with his confidence as an arc, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But and they did it in Young Justice.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember that.
You know, and I thought they handled it really well. The death of Connor Kent really took a severe toll on him. So
I'm curious to how this Raven thing is going to turn out. I bought the last issue.
Boring.
I just bought the last issue, but I haven't read it yet. And
I bought it too because I'm an ass, you know, because, you know, I'm like, well, it's the dark, whatever her name is, the Dark Queen, the Dark this, the Dark whatever.
But
I was like, well,
at the same time, the Raven is going to be bad because her dad has influence, has been done so many times that, you know, how are you going to tell it differently this time?
Did Tom Taylor do Detective Comics?
He did a brief story. I don't think he was
very
brief. Long. He wasn't in for very long.
He did a whole lot of Nightwing and a bunch of Titans that I'm not impressed by.
And wasn't he the one that wrote Jonathan Kent?
And Jonathan Kent, which I enjoyed very much. And I have issues, you know, I have the first issue and the coming out issue both signed up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's show them off more. So
you've got a great background. I've just got these. the wall of comic boxes.
It's always evolving. Whack, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not really paying attention. He may or may not be going to detective. I know the oh my god, the guy who was
another guy.
Yeah, the guy who wrote The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, whose name I can't remember.
Yeah.
He just wrapped up, so I guess Tom might be going over to detective. So
I've got the recent issue in this pile of books that I've not read yet. To give you an idea, okay, this is the pile that I haven't read yet. So,
all right, he will start on Detective Comics 1190. No, 1090. He will start on Detective Comics 1090. Batman Detective Comics All In.
1099 I think is the issue, is current issue, 98 or 99. So
no, the issue he begins on is 1090.
Well, for Tom Taylor?
For Tom Taylor, yeah.
Well, then he's been doing it for 8 or 9 months because the latest issue is 98 or 99.
1098?
Yeah, 1098 or 99. Yeah. So I guess he is on detective now.
Hold on.
Let's take a look here. Here's issue 1090. Sorry, he's on 1087.
Oh,
So they
okay.
haven't reached an idiot. Yeah,
I'm like, whew, I'm
yeah,
like,
89. So 1090 would be the next issue.
right, and that should be when Tom Taylor is taking.
Yeah, off. Which will be So there's your answer there, Whack Comics or whoever asked.
Lady Fantastic, good morning.
Hello, lady.
Oh, thank you, DJ. Thank you. All right, so because I'm getting away from myself. Oh, do you know who's another great Marvel detective? Nick Fury.
Yes, but Fury is more of a detective in the what I call the world politics, the Weltpolitik, they call it.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff on an international scale, and he certainly knows his stuff from a military standpoint. But I don't know if he I think he's a little too rigid to do things on a civilian level.
I don't think he's, well, that's the thing. I think, but Batman's not rigid. Batman would go, oh, this escalates, and then like him, Fury.
Well, Batman probably has 55 theories on everything, right? So
yeah, exactly. So they would like clash. But if it's going to involve world governments, then yes, both of them would have a lot of theories and a lot of angst. You know, it could be, well, whatever. I don't want to get too much into that one. Let's see. Ooh. If you were a comic book superhero, what kind of superhero would you be, and what would be your origin story?
Well, let's see. If I was a superhero, I would probably want to have, I mean, call this real world wishing, but I have certain parts that don't work very well, and so I wish I would like to have good health and invulnerability. You know, just because. And what I would do is I would be sitting there. I would try to be an inspiration to people to do better. I mean, you can't be everywhere, obviously, but but face it. I mean, Superman being in Metropolis doesn't stop crime. They all just hope he's busy doing something else when they do it. Yeah. So
that super speed really puts a kibosh on that.
Yeah. Well, so it comes down to just trying to inspire people to be the best they can be. But I mean, invulnerability, that's a personal thing. I think that the best power would actually be to have, in order to inspire people, would actually be super charisma. Not to the point where you're taking over people's minds, but just so that they'd listen to you. I mean, I find that the world in the last 20 years especially has gotten meaner, nastier, and COVID has really taken away the last straws of people's politeness. And quite simply, like, you know, it used to be, I live in Canada. We apologize for everything. But it's getting to the point on the streets now where people don't even bother to try and get out of the way anymore. They'll just smack right into you, and like as if you don't exist. And that's something that I hate to see. And
are you in Ottawa?
Yes, I am in Ottawa.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was very happy not to spend too much time in Ottawa this last visit. I spent most of my time in Orleans, and but every time I had to go into Ottawa, I'm like,
well, I live on the Quebec side. I live in Elmer, just across the river. Alan lives in downtown Ottawa.
By the way, this is the first time in my adult life that I drove over to Quebec because I went to take my mom to the casino in Hull, right?
Yes, that's about 10 minutes from my house.
Right. So I can't believe I didn't run into you at the comic show. So I'm taking my mom over there. And when you chose to make a video, you filmed your video, I think, on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Right. If you had filmed when you were with your son on Friday, you probably would see me running around in the background.
Oh, geez. Well, if you had recognized me, you should have said hello.
I did. First of all, if I have recognized you, you know I would have. This persona is on screen and in person. Just ask Mon Comics. I saw Brandon, and I was like, Brandon's like this. I don't realize that Brandon is talking to his kids. I think that Brandon is like filming or live streaming from Terrificon. Like, you know, like, oh, he's just doing what we all bloggers do, right? And I like go, and he's like totally like terrified. He's like, who is this random person attacking me? And and I was like, oh, there's kids. Like I looked at the camera, I thought he was like blogging or live streaming, and I was like, oh no, I'm like interrupting a family moment.
Well, I had my kids with me on the Friday night, but Alan was there too.
Morning, Christina.
Yeah, it was an interesting show. That's all I'll put it. There wasn't as many big actors this year that there usually was.
Oh, Robert I know, but you got the father from Kim's Convenience, who's also on Star Wars, who's also Uncle Iroh. I love him. Giancarlo Esposito came back. I was wondering if it was another look at my mother. You know, so there's two stories where Giancarlo Esposito makes eye contact with my mother. One is right here in Poughkeepsie, New York, where we were having dinner one night, and the other is last year at the show. He came into the hotel from the back, and my mom and I are at the elevator in the back for whatever reason I can't remember. And he's like, we did do this whole thing. He's like, no, you first. And then like he tips his hat and makes eye contact with my mother. And then like we rode the elevator together with his entourage. And all I'm thinking is like, I do not know what's happening with you and Giancarlo Esposito, Mom, but I have no objections to him being my stepfather. No objections.
No objections. No, I enjoy it. Like, I mean, I enjoy comic shows immensely. I wish there were more, but at the same time, my wallet is happy there isn't. And there's going to be another show next month that Al and I are planning on doing another challenge at. And we haven't decided what challenge we're going to do yet. But what
was your last challenge?
We did a $50 challenge a couple months ago at a smaller show in Ottawa. Okay. And like we each took $50 and let's see the best books we can get. So
wait, which Alan are you talking about?
I'm talking Comic Collector Geek. He lives in Ottawa.
Comic Collector Geek lives in Ottawa, and I'm just realizing this now.
Yes, he lives only 20 minutes away from me.
Oh my! The way he shops, you would think he's an American.
Yes, the way he shops, but he lived in Toronto for a long time. He's only been in Ottawa for a year and a half.
Oh my God! No wonder he shops like an American. He's like, oh, I'm not paying Toronto prices.
Yeah,
because Toronto's like one of the most expensive cities to live in. Dude, do you remember when Toronto was quarantined in the early 2000s?
Yes.
And it was labeled one of the most boring cities in the world.
Yes.
You know?
And then the Rolling Stones decided to do it was SARS, and the Rolling Stones decided to do a concert. They're saying it's the most fun Toronto's had in 15 years.
Hey, right. And then after that, Toronto has been nothing but bonkers wild ever since then.
Yeah, because they didn't want to have that reputation.
No, and now it's out of control. Like Toronto is like absolutely wild. Toronto's like, we will compete with London and New York City. We're going crazy. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And like, yeah, Toronto is out of control. I kind of love it. I kind of hate it.
I've always preferred Montreal to Toronto, but my dad lives in Toronto. I just find that the Toronto attitude is very go, where Montreal is very laid back and a lot more fun.
Yeah, I also find like Ottawa is like even, right? And like
Ottawa is the most. I always call it's the biggest small town you'll ever meet. There's a million people.
It's a million people.
There's a million people here, but we act like we're 20,000.
Dude, when I went for my cousin's wedding in 2005, it was only 390,000 people.
Yeah, but in '95 they hadn't amalgamated all the cities into one.
2005.
Yeah, sorry, 2005. They just amalgamated everybody, and yes, the population of Ottawa has expanded greatly.
It's insane to me. I'm like, oh my god! It's still not New York City insane, thank God. But like, I'm like, oh my goodness. So
yeah,
very, very.
It's changed a lot.
It really has. Oh crap! Yeah. What did I do? Oh, I did not have everything around me that I want to have around me.
If Columbus hadn't gotten an NHL team, Ottawa would have been one of the considered to be the smallest market in the NHL. Even though we're bigger than half the cities that have teams, we're still considered a small market.
What in the hell? Everything is wrong. Oh, there it is. I'm so sorry. All right.
That's okay.
Let's move it along to So I'm going to keep like my comic of the week is actually just going to be really simple. So it's two because I'm always cheating, but like, so like comic of the week, like as a good read, I'm never disappointed with Ultimate Spider-Man, whether it's battles or fucking conversations over coffee. I enjoyed this show. I enjoyed this book. I really do. And then my other comic of the week, purely because of the cover, I love the Nicola Scott covers.
Oh, that's nice. All the Zatanas.
Yeah. They paid Nicola Scott to just start doing cover treatments a la Dodderman style, right? Whatever. And I don't care. I'm totally here for it. I love it. All right. So that's it. Very simple. Those are, oh, by the way, first, this is our first Ultimate Sinister 6. So just in case anybody's wondering if there's something special about this book. So that is my share. Matt, do you have a comic of the week?
I do. This is Conan the Barbarian number 15. And the reason I liked it is it's another retelling of the Frost Giant's daughter.
Nice.
And I know it's been retold many times, but this is the first actual floppy I've seen. There's actual nudity in this book. And she's topless and they're not afraid to show it. But also, to be honest, this is probably the best writing. Like, this is better than Roy Thomas's version. I think that this was a great version of the book. And I recommend anybody who's a Conan fan or not a Conan fan, even if you like good girl art or if you like just a good story where you see, like, you know, imagery, the imagery and the determination of Conan just to survive and try to catch this girl is it bar none. It's really strong, and I really liked it. And the thoughts that the girl is speaking during the speech or whatever, well written.
I think the Conan book has been remarkable. I've not been reading it physically, but I'm definitely thinking of collecting it. My friend Josh is just completely captured by that series right now and loves it.
Yes, it's been a fantastic ride. You never know; it's hit or miss with Conan, because if you get a good writer, it's one of the best books out there. If you get a crappy writer, you better hope the art is good, because.
Well, let me tell you, I am not the one. And, you know, it's funny. I was going over something at work about, like, you know, studies about, like, being visual learners, audio learners, kinesthetic learners and stuff. And I realized that I think people who are more visual are like, oh, this book looks so dope. And, like, they're more forgiving of the writing. Whereas, like, I'll read something, like my favorite thing to pick on, Dark Crisis, and the writing is so poor that even though I acknowledge that the art is gorgeous and I love Daniel Samper, I'm like, the story is crap. You know?
I am totally on the writer's side, in the sense that if it's a good story can make bad art palatable, but good art cannot save a bad story.
Yeah, no, and that's again very much how I feel about that particular series. Christina's on it. There's the link for Jen's GoFundMe if anyone is interested. Last Sunday,
we've already donated twice. So
yep. And last Sunday, I helped raise $275 on a live stream at 10 p.m. on Sunday. We did great. I got to make sure that box goes to Mark. Man, I can't be in enough places in enough time. This whole week, I've been devastated.
That's definitely one thing I've seen, Cliff. You are a very, very busy man.
Yeah. And if you notice, I didn't even put much time into YouTube this week. You know, I've just been... You know, work has been very overwhelming, but we're not going to dwell on that, because, like, this is our time.
This is our time.
Yes. Alrighty. So that was our lovely, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? All right. We covered the, which now brings us to all right, so my Bussy Buster this week, I'm very proud of. And it's straight up of a My Comic Shop auction win, and that is Marvel Team Up 65.
Very nice. That is a good book. I read that a long time ago. Like we're talking when I was a kid, long time ago, not now. So I barely remember the book, but I do know I have read it. And Captain Britain is one of those great underrated heroes that should have had more exposure than he did.
Yep. And he's still kicking in all the various forms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because the origin of Captain Britain is retold. It's the first U.S. appearance of Captain Britain. It's the first appearance of Arcade and Miss Luck.
Right.
I did not realize it's the first appearance of Arcade, so I feel extra. I do not. I always try to get I always try to get these, and I always try to get a floppy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the floppy of this, but that's going on the list. So that was my Bussy Buster this week, and for you, sir.
Well, as people who may or may not know me, I like Silver Age. I like Superman. What I particularly like to collect for myself is 80-page giants as much as I can.
Oh,
now, they're all reprints.
100-page giants. What about all the giants?
Well, the 80-page giant was the big deal in the 1960s. And this one here is the oldest 80-page giant that I currently have of the Supergirl. 334 is the first one. That's the one I'm missing. And I'm trying to get a hold of it, but I can't seem to find a copy that's complete anywhere. 80-page giants, they fall apart because they had the boxy square bound as opposed to the regular staple floppy parts, so they fall apart quite easily. And as a result, 80-page giants are harder to find, and that's one of the reasons I like them so much, is because I feel when I get one that I've accomplished something, and that gives me the feels.
All right. I never looked at it that way, and now I'll never unlook at it that way.
And the fact is, like Supergirl had some very interesting stories for a girl who's only 15, 16 at the time of at the time of the Silver Age. And you know what? They gave her a nice little rogues gallery of her own, and she wasn't like relying on Superman villains, and I like that.
Yeah, no, I very much like that. She had her own knockoff villains, and then of course she had her own villains.
Yes.
Some less interesting than others. But I was like, hey, we've got a Bizarro. Here's Bizarro Supergirl.
Well, that's right here on the cover.
Yeah, that was right up there.
Yeah, so I mean, but at the same time, Bizarro Supergirl was different than other Bizarros because she actually wanted to be loved and liked. I mean, if you remember, the Bizarro baby was part of that story, and she fell in love with the baby, right, and wanted to protect it. So
yeah, and by the way, way more heavy duty of a story than expected. Like just
exactly.
They really. I don't even know if they knew like how beyond their years they were writing some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, you also have the other complication, because if you remember at the time of the Bizarro Supergirl story, Supergirl's presence has not yet been announced on Earth.
Right.
So Superman had that extra, well, what if somebody sees this? They'll know there's a Supergirl.
Yep.
So you had that little extra factor.
Yeah, and that's which, by the way, that is not aged well at all, right?
No.
It's like, you are the biggest douche ever. Like, you want
Superman in the 60s was a douche.
And you know what? Supergirl, the TV series, not better. You find your surviving cousin for Krypton, and you dump her with two scientists that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, here's this nice couple. They're scientists.
I know. The Kara Zor-El that showed up in Superman Batman 8 was much cooler because that Superman and Batman were the ones to meet her, and like right off the bat, like the comments about Batman's already teasing him about crypto, right? And so you've got a cousin that's came along. It's like, how do you know it's really your cousin? How do you blah blah blah?
Yeah.
I like Batman's suspicions then, and it made it much better because Batman did take care of her.
Excuse me. And that version of Supergirl, though also executed questionably.
Yes,
that was a version of Supergirl that received training from Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too bad that when Jeff Loeb gave her own series, it was just weak.
Yeah, there were moments that were good in that series. I like the storyline when Lana Lang became the Queen Bee there, and
it's a Queen, yes, a new rendition of it. Yeah,
that storyline was pretty good, and the one I had to admit it was amusing her trying to go to high school.
Yeah, and that was like one issue. She's like, I can't do this.
Exactly, and that's what it was a good little quick story, and that was that like. Those are the quirky little things that I do like to see once in a while.
Yeah, but by the way, both of the stories that you named came when the series was better later.
Yes.
Because I think Jeff Lemire, well, not Jeff Lemire.
Well, in the beginning, right, she was trying to fit in with the Titans. She was trying to fit in with she had to fight the Black Supergirl, like the dark, and then the Power Girl thing and the whole. Really, it was a mess.
And the Power Girl thing would have been interesting, but it was another terrible story. Like they were so you're in the Battle City of Kandor. You're acting as the Nightwing and Flamebird of Kandor. They look amazing. The villain down there is Saturn Queen from the Legion of Superheroes, who's time displaced, and she's mind controlling Ultraman.
I know that was fantastic.
All of that is fantastic.
And yet they couldn't make a story.
They couldn't. How does it end? Supergirl's like, I can't handle this. I quit, and leaves a Power Girl and just takes.
She goes to get a tattoo, for God's sake.
Right. And then she starts having some kind of like May-December thing with Captain Boomerang Jr. Like, I just wanted to go in that writing room and slap every writer and editor.
The first 20 issues of that series, they're lucky it wasn't canceled.
Oh my! But that's even worse. It's more than the first few issues. It's just so terrible.
Yeah. But I mean, they got their crap together eventually. I mean, you know what? The Lana Kara dynamic was great.
Sterling Gates, and Jamal Igle are the ones that came in there and saved that freaking book, even though it was too late.
Yeah,
but their shit is the best of that series. The best. It took me a minute to remember.
Yes. Do you remember the part where Lana's like, where she's given 5 minutes to leave Luthor Corp, or she's going to be killed because she helped Superman? Like that was extreme, but so Luthor.
Very Luthor. All right, let's move into our next. I was going to say we can Superman gush all the time. I'm happy to have somebody I can Superman gush with. All right, we are going to move on to my favorite game of every week. Rate it or... Ooh, wait, I moved it. Rate it or hate it. All right, this week's Rate It or Hate It is brought to us by the 4-year Reflective from Cover Price. These were comics that were on... the... Wait a second, have I done this one before? I don't even know. It looks different enough. Yeah, sure. Let's do this. All right. So these are comics that were popping back in August of 2019. You know what? Let me make sure I'm not repeating myself because I don't like to be that guy. And I might very much be about to be that guy.
Excuse me.
I'm like, I chose the wrong Reflective.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I chose the wrong Reflective. All right. That's okay. I'm going to fix it. And I'm just going to ask you another question.
Sure,
a lot of us have comic book runs that we're trying to complete. And some, we usually try to tackle one that's like palatable. What was the first run in your adult life that you tried to complete?
That I tried to complete?
Yes.
Well, Buffy season 8, and I did it really fast. Then the next book I completed the run was actually that Supergirl series we're talking about.
Okay.
And then after that, I put together all of the Supergirls, like all the books that were named Supergirl. I got them all, and then I got the Adventure Comics Supergirl run.
Ooh.
So I had finished 381 to 422. That was that run. Recently, I finished Adventure 300 to 380. That's the Legion run.
Wow.
I literally just finished it last week. And I have the entire run. I have the entire run of All-Star Squadron, the entire run of DC Comics Presents, the entire run of the New Adventures of Superboy. And I'm only 6 away from finishing Adventure from 400 on, like in terms of like to the end of the run. Like I think I need a couple of the Plastic Man, Aquaman books, and I've got that.
Excellent. All right. I'm back on track for our rated or hated.
Oh, also, I have every Superman. I have every regular Superman comic post-Crisis. Like I have the entire run of Man of Steel. I have the entire run of Superman Volume 2. The entire run of Adventures of Superman.
I'm pretty sure I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
All the way until the New 52. The New 52 really did a number on me.
Yeah, I read them all. I still have them all. I can't not like Superman. Anyway.
Yeah, I used to feel that way, and then the New 52 happened.
I could see why. I mean, I could see why a lot of people didn't like it.
Dude, the minute that random dude came off that elevator to hug and kiss Lois, I was like, no.
No.
I was like, I'm out. I am so out. I'm like, and then when all of a sudden George Perez was off the book, and even George Perez was like, I didn't know what we were doing. No one told us what was happening in Action Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Forget it. All of it, I hate it. In the meantime, Green Lantern and Batman got carte blanche. Okay. Yep. And we all know why. I'm out. Strange Academy #1. I don't even need to introduce this. It has 14 first appearances in it. Do we rate it or hate it?
Well, 14 first appearances, you got to rate it.
Right on.
So I'd say a 4.
A 4. I am going to agree with you. I enjoy Strange Academy. Love seeing Brother Voodoo there. Loved a lot of the new characters. So yeah, I think this is a good collectible. So yeah, it meets all my criteria for a 4. And you know what? If I liked it any more, it would meet my criteria for a 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our next book on the list, the first full appearance of the Vulture's granddaughter, Starling. Rated or hated?
Well, I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan, but I could still say this should be rated because I can understand why most people like Spider-Man.
And particularly Miles Morales.
And Miles Morales seems to be the new it guy. So I would rate this, and I would rate this probably based on the numbers in a 3 to 4 range, probably 3.5.
I'm going to give it a solid 4. I think it's interesting. I like that she's a villain for Miles, but I also like that she's the Vulture's granddaughter.
Yes, that's actually an advantage because you're seeing generational evil.
Right. And actually, and you know, it's funny, right? Because she, like her grandfather, she's just not quite entirely evil.
Yeah.
Like, remember that time that Spider-Man actually let the Vulture get away because he realized that the money was because of the Vulture's kid and granddaughter? You know? And he's like, damn it, why are you trying to do something wholesome? You know?
Precisely.
Post-Bendis Miles is mad. Not all post-Bendis Miles is mad. Me personally, I really enjoy Miles. This is from the run I am actually enjoying. I'm giving it a 4.
Fair enough.
The Vulture's evil as fuck. He's a prick. He's not always. Not always.
Not always. They're
he's pretty evil.
You even saw that in the movie with Michael Keaton.
Yes. And right, of course, now she's Miles' girlfriend, so we got that. One of Miles' girlfriends. Let's be clear, boy's got some games.
Spider Gwen. I thought Spider Gwen was his.
No, they definitely have a thing, but she can't exist in the same universe. Like her current series, she's hiding out in the 616, and of course, it's problematic. And Miles definitely has feelings for her. Miles also has big feelings for Ms. Marvel, so there is stuff happening. The stuff that's happening. You know.
Wow.
All right. Next up on our list. Hey, we were kind of talking about this earlier. This one's a 1 in 25 design variant by Jorge Jimenez, and it happens to be for Batman number 99. Now, this one's just an Horatio book. But do you rate it or hate it?
Oh, I'd rate it.
Okay.
Batman 99 was a good story. And anytime that Nightwing is one of the best characters. I mean, Dick Grayson has been great since 1940. And you can't not rate this. You can't not like Dick Grayson. He's probably the most likable character in DC Comics. And so I would rate this, and because it's such a good cover, I would rate it a 4.
I'm also going with a 4. And as much as he's a likable character, the boy ain't innocent. He's not innocent.
No. He's fun.
Yeah, he's a little too fun. All right.
Yeah.
There have been more than one issues with the ladies swarming with ladies swarming Dick Grayson.
Well, you know what? He's a good-looking man. He's rich.
Well, now he's rich.
No, but he's always been rich in the sense that, like, you know, Bruce, he's never wanted for anything once Bruce got him.
Look, he had, he went from a
but
trust
he doesn't act rich. That's the thing.
Well,
he doesn't.
Well, this is the thing. Because he was a trust fund kid.
Yes.
Right? When he leaves for the Titans, he's a trust fund kid. Right?
Exactly.
It's still not rich. You're like limited, right?
Yes.
Now, with Alfred's death, he's rich.
Rich, yes.
And now it's serious. Which, by the way, Alfred's been dead almost 6. We're reaching 6 years of Alfred being dead.
I miss Alfred.
Oh, I do too. But I also think it's a brilliant endeavor, and they're really sticking to it. All right, next on the list, the first appearance, the debatable first appearance of Spider-Man 2099. In the Amazing Spider-Man 365, where we get a few pages of what is the first issue. Do we rate it or hate it?
Well, I hate it, but I think most people would hate it.
Right answer. I love the anniversary issues on their own, but the fact that this is only here because of the debatable first appearance of 2099, I refuse. This is simply a preview. I'm not here to defend previews of what you got from the main book. Unlike the first appearance of the new Teen Titans, that is an original story in that issue of DC Comics. I will defend that.
And that one was pricey.
Yeah, that one's crazy. All right, moving on to someone I have more feelings about. There were unconfirmed rumors of Aranya being featured in a Spider-Woman project at Sony, and copies of this book started flying off the shelf. And that is Aranya, the Heart of the Spider, #1 from Marvel 2005, which was a Marvel Next book. And of course, I have her Amazing Fantasy 15 first appearance from when they relaunched Amazing Fantasy.
Nice.
I've always been keen about her. She's been Aranya. That she was Spider Girl with the black costume. She's Aranya again. So, do we rate it or hate it?
Well, I would rate this because I haven't read it, but it looks like a book I would read, and so I would give it a just from the cover alone, I'd give it a 4.
Nice.
Because the cover itself is fantastic, and it actually makes me want to read the book.
Yes, as it should. It's definitely. I had a good time with it. I really enjoy the character. I've collected almost everything she's been in except for the more recent Spider-Verse stuff. So I highly recommend. For me, it's actually a 4. And again, you can pick this book up really cheap because no one's really looking for her at the moment.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, it's obvious by the way that the prices have gone down that she's not this huge character per se that everybody wants to get their hands on, like say a Dazzler 1.
Yeah.
You know, so it's something I would probably give a try.
Absolutely. Because we can't all be going around grabbing Dazzler number 1s.
Yes.
I love that I had it handy.
That is hilarious.
All right. The next book. In 2020, a recent TV announcement had collectors scrambling to purchase this book by Aftershock. It's the Andrew Robinson 1 in 15 variant of Undone by Blood. Rate it or hate it?
Ooh. I would rate it. Again, the cover seems very intriguing, shall we say. I mean, again, I'm terrible. I haven't read a lot of recent stuff that's not DC, so admittedly, but this looks like, again, something that I would want to read just based on the cover. So, but I will only give the cover a 3 because from an artistic point of view, it's very simple, but there's not enough detail to give me other than the cowboy hat, which suggests a Western. It doesn't say what else it could be about.
Yeah. Well, it's early 1970s United States.
Okay.
You know, it's about family and revenge and a gunslinger, you know, and, you know, just people just running around in mortal danger. It sounds great. And of course, they were hoping to launch a series on television that would feature Norman Reedus.
Right. Well, if that's the case, then it probably would have done well, or well enough that this book would have held its value or be worth more today. But it does look very intriguing, and the concept sounds pretty cool. So
yeah,
I would still stand at a 3 based on this, but I would read it.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 3 as well. Monkeys Fighting Robots and Multiversity Comics commented on the book with a 9.4 out of 10, saying it is a satisfying, gritty neo-Western that sets the lawless, brutal, and nasty human condition against the backdrop of a hauntingly desolate and beautiful desert town.
See, right there. Now, see, if I read that part, I would definitely read this because now it's caught me.
Yeah, there you go. All right, next one, way more fun. Back in 2020, Kang being the key villain in Ant-Man 3 was only speculation, but that was enough for copies of the aftermarket for this comic to soar to $1,000. Yeah. And that, of course, you know it. We usually love it. It's Avengers number 8.
You rate it. This is just a great, this was a great book.
Yeah.
I read it in a compilation collection years ago, and this was the Avengers' best. Some of their best period was the first 15 issues, followed by I find around issue 50 to 80 was really good as well, and it's just good. I'd rate it, and I'd rate it a 5. I like it.
I'll give it a 5 as well. It's a pure classic, everybody.
It's one that everybody should read.
Yeah, and there are reprints available that are more accessible, that are fun to pick up.
Yeah, I read it in one of those Marvel Essentials.
There you go. That's how you do it, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't think I have it in Marvel Essentials. I think I have it like in a reprinted Marvel Tales or...
Well, I borrowed this. I don't own this one. The only Marvel Essentials I have are Conan and Fantastic Four. But I borrowed it, I think, from the library, and it was a great... Like, that whole Avengers 1 to 15... Just that's when Quicksilver and Hawkeye and them come in, that whole run was great. They're establishing everything. Everybody should read that. If you're not going to read anything else from the Avengers, read those first 15, 16 stories.
Wow. This story is reprinted in Avengers Annual number 5. In 1972, and it's also in Marvel Masterworks number 4, which I think is I can't remember if it's the hardcover or when they were still doing the little Marvel Masterwork tribute books.
Wasn't all? I thought all Masterwork books were hardcover.
That's what I thought, but occasionally I have come across these softbound gray border little hey, if you like this, go and pick up one of the hardcover situations.
Cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun collecting because you always find out something weird and new and different. You're like, I've never seen it.
Not a day goes by where I don't learn something new.
Yeah.
Even if I'm reading a story I've read 50 times before, I see something I didn't see before.
Yeah. And well, speaking of things that we haven't seen before and that I love, and I got it wrong. It's not Amazing Fantasy 15. It's Amazing Fantasy #1 from 2004. That is on our #3 spot. And of course, I know it and I happen to love it. And it's our first appearance of Aranya.
You got to rate it. Now rated a 4. Again, because the character seems interesting. The cover brings it on. And I love situations where a first appearance of a character is also on the cover.
Yep.
Because sometimes they're not, as we all know. And she looks like she's like, you don't mess with me.
She is pretty great. Anya Corazon, love her. She's Puerto Rican. She's Mexican. The full Latina thing. Her powers come from the spider totems directly.
Nice.
You know, it's not like Peter, you got wrapped up into this the minute a radioactive spider bit you. It's like for her, it's like, hey, you were born into this. Congrats.
Nice.
So I very much enjoy the series, and it's great. It's all the things we like about young Spider-Man, young Miles, right? You know, it's modern. The issues are there. I really wish that she had taken off more over time, but I really like it. It's a 5.
Like a character that more.
Yeah, I give it a 4, but it's a 5 in my heart. It's an absolute 5 in my heart.
She looks like a character that should be more popular. Is she on any of the Spider-Man cartoons?
No, she should be. I think maybe she was in like that season 3 Spider-Man. I gotta look into it. There is one season I think she may appear, but it was one of the seasons I fell off on. I gotta finish it up. The next one is a very provocative cover, so points for me for provocative cover. This issue had multiple first appearances, such as the Summoners, Iska the Unbeaten, and the White Sword, and sold 50 copies in September of 2020 raw for over $20, while graded 9.8s reached 75s quickly. Fast forward to 2024, all the prices have dropped, but that is X-Men #12. Rate it or hate it?
Hate it. I don't like. No, that cover turns me off.
You know,
my character is not I have the wolf is interesting, but I have no desire to read this based on the character that's on the cover.
Yeah, there's really nothing major from this book. It is part of the better Hickman run. I actually do kind of like the comic. I love the monsters, the villainy, and the sexuality of the cover. I mean, so it gets extra. I'll give it a 2. Like,
yes, you're seeing something I'm not seeing sexuality in this cover. I'm just seeing
the dude is naked and like the wolf arm is covering his junk. I mean, like, you know, it's and he's got
to be fair.
He's like grabbing the snake tail a little bit like dark and provocative. Like there's a darkness here and a provocateur element, and then like monsters. For me, this is like a very male version of some Madeline Pryor shit.
Okay.
You know?
I can see why you think that now.
Yeah, because and we don't see it that often. We really don't see it that often. And so that's why, you know, and of course I have read the issue, so you know, we've got that going. So I'm giving it like a 2. Like, this is not for everybody. No one needs this. Peter, good morning or good afternoon in the UK. No one needs this book, but like, hey, I'm just putting it out there. If you want something a little spicy, it's a spicy book. All right, last but not least, we talked about this book earlier at the number 5 spot. This is the regular edition coming in at number 1. I don't think our feelings are going to change in this book whatsoever. And we're back to Undone by Blood.
Well, you definitely rate this.
Yes.
And this cover, you know what, looks a little more appealing than the other one. Like, I see this and I'm more likely to with this cover to go after it than the other one. So I would give this particular cover a 4. Yep. Because at least I get an idea more what it's about, in the sense like the dripping blood and all that sort of gives it away. But, you see the person with the gun on the cover, you see the blood going. Now I've got a better idea of what I want. So I want to read it even more after this version.
Yep. And it's by Aftershock, so I recommend with confidence. But that was it for Rate It or Hate It. Thank you for playing. I hope you enjoyed it, sir.
Oh yeah, I like seeing books that I've never seen before. I like the mystery. I like the surprise.
I do as well. And I hate, like, there was one I did, it was like almost all null, right? And like, sure, there's some entertainment in that, but I'm like, I mean, like, it's tired. I like when it spices up.
The way I am, even those 2 that I said I hated, I would probably read, because I read everything. Like, literally, if it's in front of me and it's a comic book, I will read it. Whether I actively go looking for them is a different story.
That is true. But I would actively go looking for some Aranya, because I really like her. All right, sir.
Very interesting. Yeah,
it is. I guarantee. It's our last segment. It's your segment. It is the 5-Finger Shuffle. Your mission was to bring 5 comics or books and choose with the theme of your choice.
The theme of my choice is Legion first appearances.
Yes! Yes!
So I have here 5 first appearances that I'm going to show. And I'll start with one I'm sure you're going to really like. This is Adventure Comics 317. It's the
Dream Girl! Dream Girl, baby!
I knew you liked her, so that is why I picked this theme.
Thank you.
I love the Legion. I mean, I have a flight ring, for God's sake, right?
All Legion lovers do. All Legion lovers do.
What is interesting is how she joined under false pretenses, apparently, to save Legionnaires that it turned out were duplicates anyway.
Yep.
The fact that she didn't stick around surprises me, because she is the type of character you would have thought stayed, but none of the other girls liked her, right? So,
yeah, it would be years before the other girls got used to her.
Got used to her, and even to this day, people still mock her. She's like a huge scientist, like she's brilliant, and she's
a martial artist.
I was going to say, after Karate Kid, probably the best martial artist in the Legion.
Yeah, because she could see your moves coming at her.
Exactly. So she took advantage. She took advantage of Val, because if you read in one of the 70s books, she took lessons from him.
Yeah. Well, she really had to, because he's the only person that could move with the speed and the knowledge to mess with her precog.
Exactly. And quite simply, we're talking about a guy who almost took down Superboy in his first appearance. So,
yep, and who almost took down Batman, but we didn't get a chance to see it because Black Lightning showed up at the Batcave and saved his ass.
Yes, exactly. Now, the next one here, this is the first appearance of Lightning Lass.
Yes!
Okay. In this book, Lightning Lass attempts to take her brother's place by cross-dressing as her brother, but Sunboy never fell for it because he saw the lack of an Adam's apple, and the fact that she looked like she had recently cut her hair, because the place where hair was was not 10 like the rest of her. So he figured it out. But by the end, they add her to the team. She has the same powers as Lightning Lad. And quite simply, I think that she has always been a great asset to the Legion, because if there's one person you could say is the heart and soul of the Legion, it's Ayla. It's Lightning.
Ayla's an amazing
She feels, she loves hard. She is a great character. Next up is Adventure 324. This is the first appearance of the Heroes of Lalor.
Yes.
Okay, on the cover,
Beast Boy.
You've got Beast Boy, who only makes one other appearance, and Elvolo Lad and Gas Girl. Now, with the exception of Duplicate Boy,
that's right.
The exception of Duplicate Boy, all the other Heroes of Lalor only make about 3 or 4 other appearances before pre-Crisis. Duplicate Boy, of course, makes more because he's dating Shrinking Violet,
who he thinks is Shrinking Violet.
Yeah, at that one point, I did a video on that, by the way.
Yeah, I guess you most certainly did
about the Shrinking Violet thing. Beast Boy is such a sad character. His only other appearance, he dies, and he gets mad about the way he's treated. He feels lonely. He feels more. He connects with animals better than he connects with people. But then he dies saving a little girl from a man-eating creature. So he dies a hero in the end.
Yeah, and then of course they bury him on Shangala, the memorial. Yeah, so like at least he gets to be on the memorial planet.
Yes. Now, my next one is the first appearance of a guy who has the most interesting colored costume in the Legion. Number 307, the first appearance of Element Lad.
Yes! Element Lad. And the first time that Saturn Girl said, take him because I said so.
Yes.
Take him on my recommendation.
Well, put it this way. Saturn Girl would know best. She can read minds.
Yep.
She was the best one to do it. But at the same time, it's just, look, element changing powers. That's huge. That is a very, very strong power. Yep. The fact that, he is now like Kal-El, the sole survivor of a race, is really making it hard. And if you read later issues, it's even harder because it turns out that he's gay. So there's a less chance that he's going to reproduce and have more traumites in the first place. And I'm not saying that gay people aren't going to have kids. It's just the way
the 31st century. They can do everything.
They can do everything. So I'm just saying it complicates things. It doesn't make any.
Back then it complicated things. With the technology we have today, it complicates.
Yes, exactly. So
we'll repopulate a planet in like 30
I know you could clone people and do all that other interesting stuff. The fact is that Element Lad is probably one of the most dedicated Legionnaires because it's his family. Yeah. Because he has nobody else. And to be honest, he's one of my favorites.
He's one of my favorites too. Even before we got into the nitty-gritty of it all with him.
Yes, it's almost as if every superhero has to be an orphan, right? And but they did a little differently this time, where a pirate group actually kills pretty much every one of them individually. Like they're rounding them up and doing it like a genocide. For a population that was small to begin with, it's absolutely devastating. And the last book I'm going to show was the first appearance of Timberwolf, number 327.
Yes, Lone Wolf, baby!
Yes, I just got this last week to finish my run.
Excellent.
And I'm very happy because there are 2 things I like about this story. One, you get to see character growth from Light Lass because she sees something in him. And that's what I mean by she's the heart and soul of the Legion. She sees something in him that nobody else does. And at the same time, he becomes one of the best characters in the 1970s. From that Legion point of view, he's more open, more more involved, and the stuff that use him where he uses his agility to play like, let's do this like a billiards ball, and boom, 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 and does a whole bunch of stuff. It's just I like the character too. Yeah.
He's so great. I love that he's one of the earliest members of the Legion to graduate from the Legion Academy.
That's right, in number 372 with Chemical King.
Yep.
I have that, obviously. But it's just the fact that, Timberwolf, they brought him in. They didn't forget he was there. It took them the 50 issues almost to bring him back, but at the same time, as I said, he became a big member of the Legion in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. I particularly like there's a
you note that I have special love for him because
one of the best Timberwolf storylines was in the Volume 3 version when it turns out he's the executor of Karate Kid's will.
Yeah.
Wow. And the voyage and the travel he does at that time really builds up the character. It's too bad that post-crisis they didn't make him the same, because pre-crisis, as they were getting to the end and as that stuff, Timberwolf was becoming one of the best Legionnaires there. The other thing I like about this book is there's one panel in the beginning of the story where a guy is going to prison saying that he tried to sabotage the Legion computer board, and that is never resolved. That is one of the biggest open questions in comics history. He's literally.
What's really funny is, with the nature of cyber attacks in modern society, guess what? I was like, when I was younger, it probably bothered me more than it does now, because now I'm just like, it happens every week. It sucks.
But it's just to know who was this character, because it's done in shadow. What did he try to do? That's what bugs me, that it was never resolved. And that is the biggest mystery as far as I'm concerned in comics. Well, and those are my 5.
Chef's kiss on Legion first appearances. That's got me at a full excitement level. So there we have it.
Well, that was an interesting video, Cliff. Anything that involves a pole.
Everyone's got their dancing girls and their booty shaker girls, and I need to fire back.
I completely understand. That was a good video.
Good, and without being gross, just a little spicy, Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, Cyclotron just made it. Did he just make it? He just showed up right on time, didn't he? It scared me. I thought it was an ad. Yeah, it makes you wonder what you're looking at online, buddy.
Okay, that's good.
It's like, why am I getting an ad for this? What's happening?
Cliff, this was great. I really enjoyed this.
I had a wonderful time. You brought some Legion joy into my morning life.
Well, something, I wasn't 100% sure until I watched one of the shows you were on, and you were like, "Oh my God, that's so Saturn Girl," and I like this, and I like right away. I'm like, okay, if he's bringing in that reference, he knows the Legion.
Oh, I know, I know the Legion.
Yeah,
I know. I can't believe I have no Legion on my wall. I need to rectify that this coming year. But if you saw me on Gary B on the 1011, if you go back and find that, right. I talk about my childhood comics, and among my childhood comics, it begins with Superman number 8, the John Byrne Superman number 8.
Okay, and that's a good Legion story,
right? And that's my official introduction to the Legion. Yeah.
Do you have? And I'm asking this because they're also part of it. Do you have the Action Comics one? And do you have the Legion 37 where that storyline gets resolved?
Do you know what I think you need to do? You need to go find Cliff on Comics, Gary B 1011, and you need to go watch that episode.
Awesome. I will.
That's my answer for you. All right. Matt Likes Comics. You were great, Matt. Thank you for joining us. Where can people find you online? Even though Christina has been dropping links hard today, I love it.
It's easy. It's Matt Likes Comics. It's nice and easy to find. I have an Instagram named Matt Likes Comics, and I have the channel named Matt Likes Comics. What I do on my channel is mostly I pick topics, and then I talk about them. As in, like, for example, I recorded one this week where I talked about Conan in his mourning period when Belit had died. And I pulled out the 10 comics right afterwards and talked about those comics. It hasn't aired yet, but that's the kind of thing I do. Like, like, how does Conan's mourning affect his adventures? In those 10 issues, I can use as an example, he does not sleep with another person, which is probably the first time he's gone 10 issues without having sex.
Yep.
And so, like, that's an example of someone in the morning. My Parasite video just dropped half an hour ago. The one I had 4 people ask me to do a video on the Parasite, so I decided to do that. I pulled out about 20 books. It's a longer video. I pulled out about 20 books and I talk about all of those. And yes, I had 90% of them, so I only had to buy 3.
Excellent. Again, a pleasure to have you. Viewers, next Saturday morning, Comics with Bueller, Travis himself, will be joining me 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Comics Curing Cancer special.
Awesome.
Be here.
Looking forward to it.
This will be my co-host. 2 hours. There will be questions. There will be games. Y'all will be sending money, I hope. We will spin wheels. I will auction off that amazing Terry Dodson CBCS slabbed, remarked Miracle Man Zero or Marvel Man Zero. I don't know what his name is this week, but whatever. It's beautiful. I'm looking forward to it, and I got a few other surprises as well. So please join us. See us then. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you very much, everybody. I had a great time.
Pleasure having you. Until next time.